Is that you? No, not the guy with the loving wife and happy kids. Is that you? Yeah, you're the hopeless romantic who just caught themselves smiling at a screen like a dumbass. But don't worry, I get it. We all have a bit of hopeless romantic inside of us. Yeah, even the nihilistic incel over there. You know, he might hate women so much that he'd rather shoot himself than allowing one positive thought about them to come into his head. And sure, he might tell himself that he'll never talk to a woman again because they're so mean. But in a way, he's just like you. He might say that he hates them, yeah, but what would he actually do once the robot, AI, girlfriend, fucking Tesla bot, Elon Musk and them gets released? What would he do? What would that look like? You see, you as the viewer, regardless if you are the incel, the hopeless romantic, or a very stoic, masculine guy, we all essentially want the very same thing. A peaceful, quiet, and loving relationship with a good woman who appreciates us for who we are. But, and I'm sorry to break this to you, this fantasy is completely wrong. And you'll never, ever achieve it. Or can you? Well, in this video, I will go over the intrinsic misconception between the male approach to relationships, which we call the male conquest, versus the female approach to relationships, which we call the female conquest. In just a few minutes, you will understand how these two stand at odds against each other, and at the end, I will propose a solution that can bring the two together. To understand the dilemma men face today, let's quickly take a look at how the dating market and divorce rates turn so catastrophic in such a short period of time. First off, we all know the days of just asking out the girl you like, picking up in your dad's car and taking her to prom, only to marry her 2 weeks later, are gone. That's because, thankfully, women these days aren't constrained anymore by the evil patriarchal society, which once forced them to find a loving husband, stay home all day, and raise her children. Because who could possibly benefit from such a morally stable, high-trust Christian society where almost everyone ends up living married with kids in a house which they themselves own? Phew, that sounds a lot like oppression to me. But I'm not here to dwell on the past, I want to instead reflect on the present moment. Women are free now, and you just have to accept that things aren't going to be like back then anymore. The societal customs which once ruled their behavior are largely gone, and what's replaced them is feminism, hypergamy, sexual liberty, and with that, a big lack of loyalty. Once the average man has understood this dynamic, life can seem pretty grim all of a sudden. You know, why even do all of this? Why become attractive, get a good job, work hard, buy a house and marry some woman if she will leave you anyway and probably take half your money while she's at it? Good question. The answer should be obvious by now. You shouldn't. But why? You see, men tend to see life as a series of quests that they have to complete, all with the expectation that once they put in all the hard work to achieve that given thing, it will be a lot easier to maintain it afterwards. This is what we call the male conquest. And it works, just as we expect it to, with many, many things. For example, getting a six-pack can be pretty hard, but maintaining it once you've built up all of those good habits is incredibly easy in comparison. Getting rich is very, very hard. Every multimillionaire will tell you that getting to that first million was the hardest part. But once you have it, you can leverage your wealth to become richer and richer with much less effort and risk than previously. Men have the same expectation when it comes to their relationships. When they get the girl, they have conquered the objective. And now they get to maintain it with lower effort and enjoy the spoils of their achievement. That is the normal male conquest that we try to apply to all areas of life. And truthfully, it always seems to work brilliantly. After all, your relationship starts out in a honeymoon phase. Everything is so new and exciting. However, that's precisely why relationships are so incompatible with the male conquest. The male conquest is used for hard to achieve, easy to maintain. But in relationships, the beginning is where things are actually the easiest. You know, you can solve arguments by fucking taking off your shirt and sending a picture. It's the amazing novelty and carefreeness of the honeymoon phase. However, men don't see it as a honeymoon phase. They think they just conquered the objective. And sooner or later, even in your past relationships, your maintenance mindset kicks in. You think that this easy to maintain honeymoon phase can last forever, but sooner or later it ends. The novelty dies off and these women start realizing what a boring loser they're actually with. Coincidentally, most men are still blissfully ignorant around this time. They really think they can keep going through the same motions they've been going through for the last 2 years without the woman looking elsewhere. You have to come to that sad realization that she has her own conquest that is completely incompatible with that male fantasy. She's following what we call the female conquest, or also known as the indefinite conquest. Let me explain. For the majority of her life, the main source of drama and excitement has been centered around relationships and dating. That is her conquest. She's not going to start being obsessed with work all of a sudden like a man would. Love still is and always will be her obsession. She's not like you. Dating will always be obsession. The last thing she wants is to have it stop. That would relieve her of all of the excitement and all the drama. And more importantly, it would relieve her from her purpose, a never-ending purpose, a never-ending mission for an exciting love story with countless seasons. This is precisely why a woman who is interested in you will never be compatible with your fantasy of peace and quiet. She will get jealous, start fights and cause drama. She will continuously test you, because once you don't care anymore, there aren't any new seasons. There's no excitement, no more story to squeeze out of the relationship. Once she feels that she has conquered you, she will leave. Or at the very least, she'll mentally check out of the relationship. This is where all the cheating usually occurs. Because the cheating, it's a new chapter, a new series, a new conquest, and she feels alive again. I know this might sound a bit pessimistic to you. You'll never experience that peace and quiet as a man that you always wanted. But before you give up on dating, let me propose something to you. Because this giant dilemma, which I only got to scratch the surface of, is exactly why me and Schenker worked on this channel and created Allmaxxing. To show more men the way out of this dilemma, to show them how to adjust their strategy. Introducing the AllMaxxers Conquest. So the AllMaxxers Conquest is a way to maintain a relationship in a way that will eventually seem very calm and peaceful to you. And that's by making things everything but calm and peaceful for her. You put yourself in charge of the drama. You are now chief drama operating officer of your fucking relationship, okay? Why would you try to fight her nature when you can just provide her with exactly what she's craving? Now, they obviously don't admit to this, but what they're craving is inconsistency, hot and cold, emotional roller coasters, everything she reads about in her romance books or watches on Netflix. And then, from time to time, whenever she just went through her last little crisis, you can turn things down for a day and watch her appreciate the peace. Like you just ended a world war. This is what Allmaxxing is all about. This is why we have over 15 chapters just on emotional roller coasters. We want to help men conquer their relationship. And yeah, it won't be easy at the start. But with the results we've seen from our core school members and also many talented guys on our Discord, we are confident that we can change the way men go about their relationships for the better. And always remember, make her cry at least once a week. Subscribe, nigga!